during 1910. Of course, when we say the industry means the Hollywood film industry, and film studios started appearing during this time. Film studios were places where films were shot, edited, and then made ready for distribution and exhibition. The dominance of American studio systems started in the silent era of Hollywood studios, where they perfected the art of mass production of cinema. Because of their mass production design and the quality of their work, American films soon dominated the global film market, even through the silent era. During this time, also the American studios actually they enormous powers were developed, and they transformed from basic places where film shootings used to become huge commercial enterprises, where the entire film process used to take place at the right way, from conceiving an idea to writing the screenplay or screen scripting, and to the production part, shooting, and later on distributing the film, and then marketing and poster creation and publicity, everything. So from there, this American studio systems clear production system was developed for cinema, right from the concept generation till the distribution or exhibition. And before the studio systems, there were productions like Lumiere Brothers or Melis were used to do some private setup, and they used to produce films with actualities, and they used to shoot it, and they used to work on films much like a painter or sculpture. They were there. We couldn't find a filmmaker behind all those films, because something it was different from this studio system filmmaking. But now when studio systems emerged, an entire organization dedicated for making films, and it had a very corporate structure too, just like any production industry. This led to the directors or the creative people having to choose between the careers in the film industry or the order of the studio. Like means they are systemized. It means they are working under a system of studio. Studio had a very tight control on the lives of their stars or their directors, and studios used to have a contract system in which a director or an actor or a technician, whoever he or she was, basically would get a weekly salary or a monthly salary, and they would retain them for a certain number of years, and they would force them to do a set number of films, a prescribed set of films, and for them, no matter what the script, and they have to do films as director on studio based systems. And 3 studios were dominating the whole Hollywood, and you know about the big 5 or big 3. The developing phase of cinema from the mid 1910 to 1930s witnessed the coming up of silent cinemas, which were characterized by the absence of synchronized soundtrack or spoken dialogue. The silent movies exhibited certain features which differentiated it from the early cinema of 1890s to 1910. Silent movies were performed with accompaniment of live music and orchestra, which served the purpose of creating an atmosphere and also giving vital emotional cues to the spectator. Films which synchronized the dialogues came up only during the late 1920s. The silent movies employed high emphasis on body language, gestures, and facial expressions. They maintain a high visual quality to appeal the audience and to compensate for the absence of dialogue. The role of the in-house interpreter who explained the parts of cinema was forced to be replaced when lengthy motion pictures came into the scene. On-screen intertitles, that is subtitles, were used to comment on the story and to convey dialogue. Another peculiar feature of this silent films was the occasional use of color tints to create a particular mood or to paint the different times of a day. Everyone, I think, knows about Chaplin. Chaplin, he is considered as to be an icon in acting, and later on he himself started making a lot of films which were great critical and commercial success. He started off in his slapstick comedy roles like the persona of the tramp, and he is also considered as the one of the first global stars, as his star power was not limited just for the US, but he was popular throughout Europe, Asia, and wherever there was a film market. That was Chaplin, and Chaplin made a trend. He was a trendsetter in cinema. Chaplin used to portray the cause of downtrodden people. So the characters of his tramp, which was for which he was very famous, the kind of characterization was a person who was low life, or who had a difficulty navigating through the maze of life, and he was an innocent person in a very clever society. A sound film is a motion picture with synchronized sound or sound technologically coupled to image, as opposed to silent cinema. The first known public exhibition of projected sound film took place in Paris in 1900, but decades would pass before sound motion pictures were made commercially practicable or practical. Reliable synchronization was difficult to achieve with the early sound on disc system, and amplification and recording quality were also inadequate. Innovations in sound on film led to the first commercial screening of short motion picture using the technology, which took place in 1923. The primary steps in the commercialization of sound cinema were taken in the mid to late 1920s, as the first sound film incorporated synchronized dialogue known as talkie pictures, or talkies were exclusively shots, and the earliest feature length movie which recorded sound included only music and effects. The first feature film which originally presented a talkie was The Jazz Singer, which was released in October 1927. It was a major hit as it made with Vitaphone, the leading brand of sound on disc technology. Sound on film, however, would soon become the standard for talking pictures. The idea of combining motion picture with recorded sound is nearly as old as the concept of cinema itself. On February 27, 1888, a couple of days after photographic pioneer Edward Muybridge gave a lecture on his laboratory, that means from the laboratory of Thomas Alva Edison, the two inventors privately met and they discussed about sound cinema. Muybridge later claimed that on this occasion, that is years before the first commercial motion picture exhibition, he proposed a scheme for sound cinema that would combine his image casting supraxiscope with Edison's recorded sound technology. But no agreement was reached. Within an year, Edison commissioned the development of a kinetoscope, especially it is a peep show system, and is a visual complement to his cylinder phonograph. The two devices were brought together as the kinetophone in 1895. But individual cabinet viewing of motion picture was soon to be outmoded by successes in film projection. In 1899, a projected sound film system, it is known as cinemachrophonograph or phonorama, based primarily on the work of Swiss-born inventor Francois Dusard, was exhibited in Paris, similar to the kinetophone. The system required individual use of earphones. An improved cylinder-based system, Phono Cinema Theatre, was developed by Clement Maurice and Henry Lauret of France, allowing short films of theatre, opera and ballet and to be presented at the Paris Exposition in 1900. These appear to be the first publicly exhibited film with projection of both image and recorded sound. So, Phonorama and yet another sound film system, Theatroscope, were also presented at the exposition. Three major problems persisted, leading to motion pictures and sound recording largely taking a separate paths for a generation. That means they took two different paths, and the this primary issue was synchronization, and pictures and sound were recorded and played back in separate devices. This is the main issue, which were difficult to start and maintain in tandem. Sufficient playback volume was also hard to achieve. While motion picture projectors soon allowed film to be shown to a larger crowd or theater audiences, the audio technology before the development of electric amplification could not project to satisfactorily large crowd. Finally, there was the challenge of recording fidelity, and the primitive system of the era produced sound of very low quality unless the performers were stationed directly in front of the recording devices, and imposing severe limits on the sort of films that could be created with a live recorded sound. In 1913, Edison introduced a new cylinder-based sing sound apparatus known just like that in 1895 system as the kinetophone. Instead of film being shown to individual viewers in the kinetoscope cabinet, they were now projected onto a screen. That was the importance of Edison's new mechanism, and the phonograph was connected by a intricate arrangement of pulleys to the film projector. The phonograph was now connected by an intricate system of pulleys to the film projector, allowing under ideal conditions for synchronization. Conditions, however, were rarely ideal, and the new way improved kinetophone was retired after little more than a year. In 1919, American inventor Lee De Forest was awarded several patents that would lead to the first sound on film technology with commercial application. In De Forest system, the soundtrack was photographically recorded onto the side of the strip of motion picture film to create a composite or married print. So what is married print? Combining the audio and video in a single film is known as. Here the photographically the soundtrack is recorded onto the side of the strip of motion picture film. Improper synchronization of sound and picture was achieved in recording. It would be absolutely counted on in playback too. Over the next 4 years, he improved his system with the help of equipments and patents licensed from another American inventor in the field, that is Theodore Case. So Theodore Case inventions help the Lee De Forest experiments to go a little more better. Parallel with improvements in sound on film technology, a number of companies were making progress with systems in which movie sound was recorded onto phonograph disc. With sound on disc technology from the era, a phonograph was connected by the mechanical system of interlocking to a specially modified film projector, allowing for synchronization. So the development of sound cinema had a long journey because it started by 1888 and it come to a successful point by jazz singer. In 1927, the jazz singer basically marked the beginning of the talkies and the end of the silent era. This created a huge amount of problems for the studio as well as the people who used to make films for the studios, because now they had to deal with the language barrier which was not present in the silent era. They could showcase their film as it is in Italy or Germany, where there was very few English speaking people, because there was no dialogue to it. They just had to translate the intertitles from English to German or Italian, whichever place they were showing it. The actors had to deal with dialogues. Up to that point, actors had been trained for pantomime sort of acting, so they had exaggerated their expressions so as to convey through visuals only.
what they were feeling. Now the actors had to produce, they have to render dialogues with them, and because of these dialogues, their accents and their invocation of dialogue become important. A person from Germany or an actor from Germany could no longer work in Hollywood because of his German accent, and he was not very clear with the dialogues and all, and they had to modulate the voice in such a way that the message to the audience got conveyed. Many a career got destroyed because of coming off the sound. Sound gave rise also to the new genres like musicals and dance movies, the first being The Dance of Life in 1929. Musicals were basically storytelling through music. So they had songs, they had dances, and through song and dance they used to move the narrative forward, or say tell the story. There will be like 15 to 20 songs in a film, so all the dialogues, all the important themes were they were presenting through the song and dance sequence, and through the joyful situation and all. And another genre that came up during this time is animation. September 1928 saw the release of Paul Terry's Dinner Time. It was among the first animated cartoons producing the synchronized sound. Soon after he saw it, Walt Disney released his first sound movie, Mickey Mouse short, that is Steamboat Willie. Animators first used music in the one of the first animated films, the Skeleton Dance, 1929, done by Walt Disney. You know about the Walt Disney, the creator of Mickey Mouse. So it was basically a musical number, that means the skeleton dance musical number. There were no dialogues, but it had music score. That is why it is called as a talkie or sound movie. It couldn't be called as a talkie because it doesn't talk, right? And it was a very short animation. It was directed by Walt Disney. Now about another genre that means gangster movies. The gangster movies were very popular during this time, that is early 1930s, because of its depiction of a very outlaw sort of a lifestyle. So gangster films like Scarface become quite popular. Scarface was released in 1932, was very popular during 1930s, and basically it laid the foundation for the gangster genre. It's a category, it's a kind of filmmaking later also. It got prominence. And now we are moving to the next genre during this time, that is monster movies. The monster movies like King Kong. You are very familiar with the King Kong different versions, right? King Kong came out during this era because the sound could enhance the tension, right, and create an atmosphere inside the theater which could convey the emotion of tension, everything easily to the audience. Later on, Frankenstein and Dracula horror movies, the same thing was trialed. And next, about the next genre, that is something related to the new genre related to comedy films. The slapstick comedy, which were prominent before, were not relevant during this time because the sound came to cinema. So they have to try something new. So Max Brothers, they tried something new. Here the characters used to interact with one another, and through that interaction they used to create comic references. That means using dialogues they were creating comedy. During 1929, most of the major European filmmaking countries began joining Hollywood in the changeover to sound. Many of the trend-setting European talkies were shot abroad as production companies leased the studio while their own were being converted, or as they deliberately targeted markets speaking different languages. The first successful European dramatic talkie was the all-British Black Male. What is that? Black Male, directed by 29-year-old director Alfred Hitchcock. The movie had its London screening by June 21st, 1929. Originally shot as a silent movie, and Black Male was restaged to include dialogue sequences along with a score and sound effects before its premiere. So it becomes a sound movie. Anyway, American movie theaters, especially outside urban areas, were still not equipped for sound. And while the number of sound cinemas grew up from 100 to 800 between 1928 and 1929, they were still vastly outnumbered by silent theaters. The studio in parallel were still not entirely convinced of the talkies or a universal appeal of talkies. Through mid of 1930s, the majority of the Hollywood movies were produced in dual versions, one in silent and the other one as talkies. Though few in the industry predicted it, silent cinema would come to an end. United States soon, and Point West, Hood Gibson Western, released by Universal Pictures in 1929, was the last purely silent mainstream feature film, which was that Points West, a Hood Gibson Western released by Universal Pictures in August 1929, was the last purely mainstream silent feature film which put an end to the silent era in Hollywood. All these things are the things you have to keep in memory after this class. Hope you have taken your notes in your notebooks. Thank you for the day.